So, Leeds United spent over £100 million this summer on 10 players that add depth, competition, and get this squad Premier League ready. And yet, nearly halfway through the season, and we've barely seen some of these players kick a ball in the Premier League for Leeds United. And it's really been bugging me a little bit because coming up to the Premier League and the limited money that you have, recruitment nearly needs to be bang on. And when we look back at the summer transfer window, Leeds United have got a lot of things wrong. But there's 3 signings in particular that's really bugging me a little bit. And you could probably argue possibly a few more. But there's 3 in particular I want to speak about today. But before we do, let us know your thoughts in the comments below. What do you make of Leeds United summer transfer window? Who is to blame? Is it purely a recruitment issue? Or does the manager take some blame as well for not playing some of these players? So let's get into it. First one I want to talk about is Haka Bol. And I have to admit, guys, when we signed Haka Bol, I was very excited. I really was, because he was a real leader at Udinese, Slovenian international, came with a lot of pedigree and a lot of hype around him. Tough tackling centre half, really good in aerial duels. And I'm thinking that's something Leeds United have been missing for a long time in this team. Someone that's aerial dominant. So I was really excited when he came in. And then also, the Champions League, Newcastle took a late swoop to try and bring him in. So I'm thinking he's a really good player. And Leeds United picked him up for £15 million. This could be a really good signing for Leeds United. So he comes in with the expectation of making one of them centre-half positions his own, either Joe Rodon or Pascal Struijk. And 12 games into the Premier League season, and the couple of minutes that he has been played, and it has been very few, I don't think he's done enough, and he hasn't shown enough that he is better than Pascal Struijk or Joe Rodon to be starting in the Premier League. And I think the proof has been in the pudding over the last couple of games. He obviously didn't get to start the season with a suspension against Everton. Pascal Struijk had a good game, so he retained his place. Possibly after the Arsenal game, after Leeds conceded 5, you'd argue then that Daniel Farke should have made the change and Bol should have probably came in then. But he didn't. He stuck with Pascal Struijk until it got really bad again, and then he decided to change it. And we eventually seen Haka Bol for his debut against West Ham, where we won 2-1, and he looked a little bit rusty. Not too bad, but he looked okay. And then after that, back-to-back away games against Brighton and Forest, he looked a little bit all over the place. So he hasn't played a lot of football, and it's a small sample size to go off. But at the moment, he doesn't look any better than what we have in this side so far. So you look at the recruitment team and thinking, what's going on? Is he not good enough for the Premier League? Or is it purely down to managerial style? And I'm not really too sure. I think it might be a little bit of a mix of both. And this is not saying Haka Bol can't turn it around at Leeds United. Because the prime example is Matthias Klick when Leeds brought him in. He was sent out on loan and looked like his Leeds United career was gone. And he looked like probably one of the worst signings Leeds United had made. But he comes back from his loan and hits the ground running under Marcelo Bielsa. And we all know that he's turned into a club legend now. So any of these 3 players that we're speaking about can still turn it around. But at the moment, to be halfway through the Premier League season and 30 million spent on these 3 players and only 8 appearances, and it's only a handful of minutes between all 3 of them, that's not great for Leeds United. That's really poor recruitment. And when you look at the top end of the field, and we're missing that creative edge, that creative player that can put the ball in the back of the net, do that something special for us. £30 million is a lot of money in today's market. And we could have went and got one of them players. And then you look right towards the tail end of it, the last day, deadline day, when Leeds United bid $7 million for Harry Wilson and Fulham wanted 10, and Leeds United couldn't even stretch to make up that extra $3 million. Could we have saved a little bit on these 3 players to try and get that one over the line? I'm not saying Harry Wilson would have been my first pick, but at the moment, he would be a nice option in this Leeds United side. So I do hope Haka Bol turns it around. And possibly, look at the conversation is there. If a new manager comes in, could he get the best out of Haka Bol then? Could we see a totally different player? Would he be better at 3 at the back with Struijk and Rodon beside him with wing backs? Possibly. So it's an interesting one. Really interesting one. Let's move on. I want to talk about James Justin. And again, another player when he came in. I was calling for it at the time that Leeds United needed cover in the full-back positions. That we essentially needed a younger Sam Boyer. And we got that in James Justin. I was really excited when he came in. Because he's athletic, Premier League experience, versatile, can cover both left back, right back. And I was like, yeah, that's good. But for £10 million for a backup to be sitting on the bench, he's made 5 appearances so far this season. But he came on very, very late in games. Only got, 6 or 7 minutes here or there. The most I think we've seen him was when Gabby Goodmunson went off against West Ham. So, again, it's nothing against James Justin. I actually really like him. I do think he's a really good player. But is he going to get into this Leeds United side? You'd argue you need probably, a bit of a layoff for Jaden Bogle or Gabby Goodmunson for him to get any sort of run on this Leeds United side. And as soon as they're fit, they're ready, they're going to come straight back into this side. So for £10 million, it's very expensive. It's a very expensive backup. Where possibly could we have got something a little bit cheaper? Maybe saved ourselves £5-6 million again to put it in the forward positions. Again, I look at it, that's a recruitment issue. And Leeds United knew that we were going to be under a little bit of financial pressure with PSR, and we only had around 100 million to spend. So to go drop 10 million very late in the window on a backup fullback, it's very strange strategy from Leeds United. And then one that really bugs me the most is Sebastian Barnau. And again, absolutely nothing against the player, because when he came in, it was like Leeds United doing all the right things. We're getting cover in centre half, exactly where we needed. But we haven't seen him feature at all in the Premier League. His only minutes so far for Leeds United came in the Cup against Sheffield Wednesday, where we got knocked out. And he didn't look particularly good in that game. He's also picked up 2 or 3 injuries as well. He's been on the treatment table a lot. And for £5 million spent, again, it's a very expensive backup. When I look at it now, we obviously have Joe Road on there, Pascal Struijk, Haka Bol. And I'd argue that even if 2 of them get injured, let's say Struijk and Bol, you would see Ethan Ampadu slot in there beside Joe Rodon. I don't think you'd see Sebastian Barnau going in there. And that's an issue. That's a real issue. But again, the conversation is there to have. Does it come down to Daniel Farke? Does he purely not trust these players? Are these the players that he even wanted? Did he sign off on them? Didn't he? There's loads of questions to ask. Or does it come down to the 49ers? Is it just purely poor recruitment? And we know Adam Underwood came under serious pressure because of this transfer window. And again, he was promoted from within, doesn't really have the experience to do it. And I kind of like to see it at the time, because he's been with the club a long time. So when I seen him making that step up, I was like, I love that. I love to see the club doing that, promoting from within and, stick him at one of our own. But maybe was he a little bit out of his depth this summer? Like, most of these guys and the 49ers were around for the last time under the previous regime, and he's seen some of the mistakes that they made. And they've made them again. We spoke about it the other night on the podcast that it's really giving me 22, 23 vibes under Jesse Marsh. Not so much the season, but more so the recruitment and the mistakes we made in the summer, that we didn't really do enough. We tried to kind of do it a little bit too cheap, or maybe we overspent on a couple of players that aren't really good enough and ready for the Premier League. But it's been bugging me a little bit, and it probably really set me off yesterday after Daniel Farke's press conference when we heard again about Sebastian Barnau being injured. And it's frustrating to see that your club have essentially thrown away £30 million, knowing that we were under a little bit of financial pressure. And £30 million was just thrown away and not invested in them positions, especially when you see us lacking in them forward positions. It's really frustrating. But it's also an interesting one. I'm also trying to figure out, is it solely the recruitment to blame? Was it our scouting that wasn't good enough? Or is it the managerial style? Is it Daniel Farke? Is he the one to blame that we're not seeing these players on the pitch? But there's one thing's for sure. The 49ers have to sort it out. And they've got some massive decisions coming up for Leeds United over the next couple of weeks. 1, the manager, and 2, the January transfer window as well, where we heard from Robbie Evans after the summer window that Leeds United will not be trying to go into the January window. But it looks like it must now. And Daniel Farke mightn't be here then, but he did say in his press conference that we need to recruit in January. And I agree with him, regardless if he's here or not. Leeds United are going to need to go into that January transfer window and really empty their pockets if we're going to stay in the Premier League. So, yeah, that's my rant about the summer transfer window. And you could probably argue that there's probably 1 or 2 others that have came in that are probably just going under the radar a little bit, because these 3 in particular stand out. But there is also a few in there that I feel that haven't fully lived up to their price tag and what they've came in for. So let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of Leeds United summer transfer window? Who was to blame? Was it the 49ers? Are the players just not good enough? Or is it Daniel Farke's system? That's it for me. Mind yourselves. Mind each other. Catch you in the next one.